Good morning to you. This is Life's Dream number 124, the stories that connect us.
There we go. So today, we're going to have some harmonica, some slow blues, some chamber blues, and some Lynne Jordan. And a lot of this will be taken from what was Life's Dream number 98. So this is a flashback, but a beautiful one, an important one. We got some amazing stories. So the Common Cause Illinois, the Common Cause Illinois celebration is tonight for us. But for you, and also for us, it was last night. So some of you may have missed it. And some of your friends, other people you may know may have missed it. So it's not too late. It's going to be up for a week. So you can go to Common Cause Illinois and find it. You could go to quirkymusic.com and find it. So we're good. Okay. Now, as I've said previously, politics is compassion in action. In the right hands, of course. And democracy, fueled by compassion, is idyllic. And that, in a nutshell, has been the basic mission of the nonpartisan group Common Cause for over 50 years. And that's why we take part. These stories you're about to hear illustrate why we must all be vigilant in pushing for political compassion, and why these stories are our stories. When we hear such a story from a friend, we're set back. But then we've been connected more directly to a history we really didn't understand fully. The Elaine Massacre, the Red Summer in Tulsa, the 1921 massacre, all of these things from past history that have eluded us. So many historic moments that have been kept from the masses, but they are right here, and we must move forward. There's nowhere else to go. This is one such story that illustrates in a shocking manner my own lack of knowledge and understanding. So, as you all know by now, that I started a serious, that's the wrong word, a regular meditation practice that started in 1974. And one of my buddies back then that stayed with the meditation group all the way till his demise was really a good buddy of mine. He was good friends with Steve Goodman. He was a recording artist. He recorded, in fact, at least one record that I know of on Columbia Records in the 60s. So we really had a connection. But as much as this fellow was loved, and I just loved him so much, and everyone else did, we certainly could sit and meditate for an hour and a half. But for any kind of social communications, it could only last about 10 minutes before this fellow, let's call him John, had to run out of the room. He'd start getting frustrated. There was something not right. He was filled with anger. And one day, I went to him and I said, John, why so much anger? Why so much anger, my friend? And he said, well, let me tell you this story. I'm going to come over to your apartment. So we made an arrangement. This is the first time he had ever visited, and he comes over and he sits me down and he said, when I was a child, I had a swing set in my backyard. And when I came out of my back door into the yard, my grandfather had been lynched and was hanging from the swing set. And he said, "Thank God for meditation. I don't know what I'd be able to do with this anger that I have inside if it weren't for meditation." Wow. I mean, I knew this guy from 1974, and now completely understand. Well, I went to his memorial and sat next to a guy and noticed the guy's shirt. And it was a shirt that was promoting voting. And I showed him my shirt. I had a shirt like this, and I opened it up, and I showed him my shirt was also promoting voting. And we hit it off immediately, and as it turns out, he was really good friends with John. And John's closest friend, as I understand. And this fellow and I became friends, and he'd come to a number of the Common Cause events, was very interested in it. And one day I said to him, I said, "Did you read John's obituary?" He wrote his own obituary. And in the obituary, he mentioned a swing set, but he didn't say anything about it. What he said was, "La la 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 la, and I'm not going to talk about the swing set." And I said, "Did you know what that meant?" And his friend said, "I had no idea." He said, "You're kidding." And then I told him the story. And I said, "Didn't you know about that?" And he said, "No." I said, "Wait a minute. John was your best friend? And he never told you about this?" And he says, "Well, I never asked him why he was angry." I said, "But isn't this like a shocking story to you?" And he said, "No, I'm African American." So a year later, I'm at the meditation center, and I run into John's son. And we're talking, and I figured, I should ask John's son about this. So I said, "When you saw your dad's obituary, did you notice he mentioned the swing set?" And he says, "Yeah, I never really understood what that meant." He said, "Yeah, and then there was a swing set, but I'm not going to talk about it. I never knew what that meant." I said, "You're kidding me." So I told him what it meant, and I said, "How come you're his son and you didn't know about it?" He says, "Well, my dad was a very angry person, but no one ever asked him about it. And you did. And that's why he told you and didn't tell anyone else." And I said, "Well, aren't you shocked with the story, your dad and your grandfather?" He said, "No, I'm African American." So there's a lot we don't know. And Lynne, and now we're going to go to the number 98, live stream number 98. And I'm going to introduce Lynne with a harmonica solo. And then Lynne is going to do what we call a No One's Got Them Like I Do sandwich, where she's going to sandwich her story in the middle of the song No One's Got Them Like I Do, that features me on blues, slow blues harmonica, and Lynne singing, and the chamber blues with Kalyan and Jaime and Rose and Chishren and Joycelyn. And then Lynne's going to tell her story, and well, you'll see what happens. And then we're going to say goodbye, and we'll see you on the Zoom. So here we go. Take it away, Corky.
Good morning, everyone. This is Lynne's Papa. It's Lynne Jordan's Papa. Live stream number 98. Live stream and life's dream. number 98. Well, right now, for us, it's 11:30 a.m., Friday, February 19th. For me, it's 3 a.m., February 19th. Holly is asleep, so I have to be quiet, and I don't want to wake the neighbors. But this is an amazing and beautiful story. But I must warn you, the language and the graphics are what do they call it? Oh, not the language and the graphics. It's too early for me. The language and the images are graphic. But it's a beautiful, true story that must be told. But for now, let's have some harmonica music. Holly's asleep. It's story time. This is a very, very special story that Lynne Jordan told us on the way home from a gig one time. And we just wanted to share it, though, as I said before, a warning, it has some graphic language and images. But Lynne has made for you a beautiful story sandwich. It's a story sandwich on 2 slices of No One's Got Them Like I Do.
She was a hot-blooded woman, sending chills up and down his spine. Now she's got him crying in his wine. It don't impress me, no. It don't impress me none. Yeah. You tell me about your troubles till you turn blue. No one's got them like I do. Got something you don't want, and it's one of a kind. The doctor said you're running out of time. It don't impress me, son. 'Cause you can tell me about your troubles till you turn blue in the face. Blues, no one's got 'em like I do. Go! My grandfather was the son of a slave and the white man who owned her. Born in the state of Georgia in 1883, Papa, as we called him, was the patriarch of our family. Papa was a big, handsome, strapping man with a voice that rumbled like thunder when he preached or when he was angry. Now, Papa had no formal education, but after he fled the South to Dayton, Ohio, he found work, sent for his family, and started a church called St. Luke Missionary Baptist Church, which is still standing almost 100 years today. Papa had 9 children. Maud was his younger, and she was my mother. I grew up in Papa's church. It's where I learned to sing. And one of my favorite memories is hearing him talking about those days during Jim Crow down south. But it was a miracle I ever knew him. See, Papa and his family and his mother lived together on a farm in Barnesville, Georgia. The neighboring farm is owned by a white family. Now, surprisingly, back then, blacks and whites lived somewhat neighborly to a certain point. They were sharecroppers trying to eke out an existence as farmers in poverty, and they often shared tools or borrowed tools from each other. On this particular day, they got into a disagreement over one of the tools, as neighbors do. But it isn't a big brawl, but it comes to blows when the neighbor calls Papa a nigger, which was typical back then, still typical today. But it triggered a natural response in Papa, and he, bam, hit that man in the mouth. Well, that ended the fight, and both men went back to their fields. Later that day, Papa went home and was telling Grandma Fanny how he stood up to that white boy. That cracker tried to disrespect me, he said with pride. But Grandma Fanny had no pride. She was horrified by this. Son, don't you know what you done? They're gonna kill you. Well, the neighbor was telling his own story to the boys. We're gonna teach that nigger a lesson. Yeah! Woo! Yeah! And that's how it was done. The lynch mob would gather the good old boys, all liquored up. They'd get their guns, their torches, and rope, and set out into the night. They'd go to the house, stand outside with their burning torches, and drag him out while his wife is screaming and his children are crying in terror. They'd beat him, torture him, set the house ablaze, maybe the fields too. Then they'd drag him away to the lynch site, maybe castrate him, string him up to that old tree, hang him, and then set him on fire. Maybe even take some pictures for show. Southern trees bear a strange fruit, blood on the leaves and blood at the root. Black bodies swinging in the southern breeze. Strange fruit hanging from the poplar trees. Now that was the fate Grandma Fanny knew her son faced, unless she could find some way to stop it. She went to the white man she worked for, but he wouldn't or couldn't help her. All he would say was, "You better get that boy out of here fast." But Grandma Fanny's a resourceful woman. Her greatest personal accomplishment was that she kept all 14 of her surviving children together. They weren't ripped from her breast like all the other mothers' babies were during slavery. And her son was not going to die this night. In the darkness, she sneaks her beloved David away into the night, away from his home, his wife, and his young children. She takes Papa deep into the woods and hides him in a fallen, hollowed-out tree log. And there, encased and hidden away, Papa disappears from the face of the earth. Days go by, a week, and there he stays until she can get the money to send him away up north to safety. Come out, nigger! Every night, by the light of the Georgia moon, Granny sneaks out to the hollow log, quietly, quietly into the darkness, filled with the fear of being seen and followed. She takes some food to keep him alive. Grandma Fanny has 3 sons who've already fled the South. There's Clifford in New York, Fred in Philadelphia, and John Henry in Ohio. John Henry's money comes first. And that's why Papa moved to Ohio. And that's how, in 1961, I came to be born in Dayton, Ohio, the youngest grandchild of Reverend David Revere, Papa. See, my grandfather was headed to a lynchman's rope that day. But thanks to the dedication and determination of his glorious mother, he survived. The miracle happened. He did not die, unlike so many others. I am their legacy. I will never forget this story, and I'll never stop telling it, because this is from whence I came. I rise up to claim my part of American history, and through my art, I'll keep making it. Thank you.
Go! The bridge into the San Francisco Bay. Let the waters carry you away. It won't impress me, not at all. Your troubles till you turn blue. No one's got them like I do. I'm sick and tired of hearing everyone complain about their little troubles raining on them baseball games. It don't impress me, No one's got 'em. No one's got them like I do.
So that was story time. Thank you, Lynn. And I'll move the camera a little. I know you're used to that when Holly's around. So we'll say goodbye quietly, and we'll see you on the Zoom or next Tuesday. Bye-bye.